All right, so hey, good evening, folks. Thanks for joining us. As I mentioned, my name is Carl Colonius. I am the program manager for the Outdoor Rec Division and the program officer for the Trail Plus Grant Program, which is the topic of tonight's conversation. So welcome. If you were looking for the cooking show, that is another channel. So just a little bit about the Outdoor Rec Division. There are 5 members of our team. Our director, Karina Armijo. We have Evan Pilling, who's the grants coordinator. He is the program officer for the Outdoor Equity Fund. Introduced Michelle, and then we have an administrative assistant, executive assistant, Crystal Speedy Height, down in Santa Fe. And so Michelle is down in Las Cruces. Evan is in Albuquerque. Crystal is in Santa Fe. Karina is in Santa Fe and Taos, and I am in Taos. So we've got the northern corridor kind of wrapped up here. Yeah, okay. Introducing, for folks who are not familiar, the Outdoor Rec Division. We were created in 2019 under our current governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham. So coming up on 7 years, focused on the mission of increasing equitable access to the outdoors for all New Mexicans. We do that through 2 specific grant programs. The Outdoor Equity Fund is a grant program to engage uninvited or underrepresented population groups. We put about $4 million a year out to nonprofits and schools to engage diverse populations. We want the folks recreating in New Mexico to represent the diversity that is in New Mexico. Our other grant program is the Trail Plus grant program, and that's about the infrastructure, making sure that we have enough parking spots, that the trail signage is primo, new trails are being built where they aren't, and we are giving folks an avenue to engage in public lands. So New Mexico's Outdoor Recreation Division is one of 25 states that have some sort of outdoor recreation office. This is important because these offices are specifically focused on enhancing and embracing outdoor recreation as part of our culture, as part of our economy. According to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, in 2024, New Mexico's outdoor economy contributed 2.5%, or almost $3.6 billion to the state GDP. And that translates into over 31,000 jobs. So 3.4% of the total employment in New Mexico is in the outdoor recreation sphere, whether that's ski instructor, raft guide, forest service ranger. Use your imagination, but it is a pretty significant part of our economy. But beyond that, outdoor recreation has tremendous other values. Health benefits. Physical health improves, cardiovascular health, reducing chronic diseases. Outdoor recreation reduces, maintains healthy weight. It also increases mental health. Spending time in nature facilitated by trails reduces stress, improves your mood, decreases symptoms of depression and anxiety. And then the other stuff, community development. Think about trails are common ground. You have an opportunity to rub shoulders with folks that aren't in your social circle, meeting parts of your community that you might not interact with regularly. And the difference between seeing someone on a trail and seeing someone at a stoplight, the interactions are very different. So we want more of the former and less of the latter. There's also environmental benefits, the conservation of our public lands. And it's, kind of counterintuitive. Is that, what do you mean you're going to build a trail and that is conservation? Well, building a trail helps solidify the value of that public land to the general community. and makes it easier to defend if folks like Senator Mike Lee from Utah wants to sell our public lands. Having infrastructure to rally behind is a really good value and pushback on that type of initiative. We also know that the more folks we have engaged in outdoor recreation, the less cars and trucks we have on the road. So that increases air and water quality. And if I'm talking to any public works directors, the more trails you have, the longer your roads will last because you've got less folks driving on those roads. And then I already talked about the economic benefits a little bit, but you can think about outdoor recreation as an economic driver. Depending on how you design your infrastructure that you request for funding from the Trail Plus grant program, maybe you're going to design something that you can host an event on. Maybe it's going to be a short tack trail where you can host high school mountain bike races. And then, you've got a couple hundred high school racers coming to your community, staying in your hotels, eating in your restaurants. Hosting events is a significant economic development initiative to think about in the light of outdoor recreation. So once we were created in 2019, we really started programming in 2020. We have projects in 29 counties with 11 tribes, pueblos, and tribal nations. We've got just under $40 million of Trail Plus grants in play, over 282 projects. That's directly created over 2,600 jobs. So thinking about that, kind of economic impact right there, and also thinking about the scale of our programming, $40 million of projects is nothing to sneeze at. I did mention the Outdoor Equity Fund. Over the life of that program, we've put $10.5 million into communities, over 407 awards, and 128,000 New Mexico youth served through those programs. And it's great to think about the Outdoor Equity Fund and the Trail Plus program as complementary. It's great when you think, oh, we should put more money into the Outdoor Equity Fund and, kind of get more kids into the outdoors. Well, if we don't have the parking spot for all of those vans, then we're doing those youth a disservice. So they do go hand in hand. We need to keep in scale with our infrastructure to the need that we have in the community. Getting down to the nitty gritty of the Outdoor Recreation Trails Plus grant, I hope folks have found our website, which is nmoutside.com. It is a very informative website. Specifically, you would be looking for, in the context of this presentation, the Trail Plus tab. So there's a grants tab at the top. Scroll down and you're looking for Trails Plus. That has a very informative grant guide. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't spend a little time reviewing the grant guide. It also has the link to the application. The application will be submitted through the Submittable portal. We use Submittable as a partner, and all applications and communications take place through that Submittable portal. Very functional for us and hopefully not too dysfunctional for you. We are doing one round of grants this year. So the grant cycle is open now. It closes on September 30th. Yeah, that actually, sorry, I jumped to that. The next slide. So the website is a really deep informational opportunity. We have success stories, other grants. You can see the grants that we have provided. All of the Outdoor Recreation Division staff contact information is on that website. So yeah, nmoutside.com. So getting into what's new in fiscal year 27, we've got about $12 million available for Trail Plus grant. Depending on the strength of applications, we will see how many of those, how much of that fund availability we put out. And that comes both from special appropriations. State legislature awarded us $10 million for the Trail Plus grant. And we're also part of the Land of Enchantment Legacy Fund, which is a permanent conservation trust. And out of the interest on that $350 million, the Trail Plus program receives about $2.6 million every year in perpetuity. So that's a good thing. So if you know or want to introduce yourself as a supporter of the Trail Plus program, thank your local elected official, your state rep or state senator. So as I mentioned, one funding round this fiscal year, July 1 through September 30th. All awarded organizations should be prepared for a site visit. That will happen in the life of the grant. So trying to put eyes on projects because we fund the projects up front in order to make sure that we are not discriminating against entities that might not be able to operationalize a reimbursement grant. We provide the grant up front at the beginning of the project. And the last piece we really wanted to emphasize, please help to acknowledge the Outdoor Recreation Division and the Trail Plus grant on your project signage when applicable. Help us perpetuate this program by highlighting where you receive the resources for the project. Always disappointing to visit a project and not to see the Outdoor Recreation Division acknowledged for our financial support. So a little bit more about the timeline. We opened up on July 1. We closed September 30th. We should notify you within 2 months of September 30th. So by December 1st, you should know up or down whether you were funded or not. Then it takes us a little while to get that money out to you. We need to draft and get a grant agreement signed. There is a purchase order that needs to be generated on our side. We then send you that purchase order. You send us an invoice. We send that invoice for approval. You get it. It's state government. But it takes us a couple months to run through those steps, especially if we're administering millions and millions of dollars. So expect this to be the timeline. And also, please, if you kind of don't receive your funding in a timely way, reach out and we will see what we can poke around and find. So eligible applicants for the Trail Plus grant include tribes, pueblos, and tribal nations, municipalities, counties, local units of government, nonprofits, and nonprofits are eligible for Tier 1 and Tier 2. That's the up to 500,000, and I'll talk about the funding tiers right next. Public schools are also eligible applicants, public school districts, and public schools including charter schools, soil and water conservation districts, acequia land grant associations, quasi-government entities like a council of government is an eligible applicant. It's actually easier to talk about who is not eligible. That would be federal land management agencies, other state agencies, or for-profits. Those are the folks that are not eligible to apply for our public funding. I mentioned the tiers. Tier 1 starting at a floor of $25,000 going up to $99,999. Tier 2 goes from $100,000 to $499,999. And Tier 3 is $500,000 to $1 million. Tier 1 is really a local project. Could be a village or a city or a county. We want to put new directional signage on our local trails and put another layer of base course on the parking lot. It's going to cost us $60,000. We want 40 from you. We'll put up 20. Great. Tier 1 project, cut and dried. Tier 2 and Tier 3, we look at a more regional collaboration. These are not just more expensive Tier 1 projects. We're looking for multiple partners. We're looking for distinct roles and responsibilities within that collaboration. You should see that described in your narrative, reinforced in your budget. So identifying which partner is going to be receiving what dollar amount for what services, And then that's solidified with a memorandum of agreement or a memorandum of understanding between the applicant party and your collaborators. So it's not just, oh, I had 6 letters of support from the Chamber of Commerce and the school district. I didn't include them in the actual budget, but doesn't that make them a collaborator? No, it does not. That makes them a fan of the project. For them to be a collaborator, they have to have a distinct and recognized role in the implementation. So think about that when you are generating your applications. And if you need any clarification, please reach out. And again, the tier 3 at this point is not eligible for nonprofits. We reserve that for local units of government and collaborations of that nature. But nonprofits are eligible to apply for tier 2 funding. So what can be funded? Well, the easy answer is lots of stuff. What we don't fund is indoor or traditional sports facilities, soccer fields, baseball fields, pickleball courts. You should look at either quality of life or a destination forward grant from the Department of Tourism or capital outlay for those more traditional sports facilities. The Trail Plus grant is meant to amend that type of programming. We also don't fund golf courses, pools, playgrounds, or water parks. So the traditional kind of youth play facilities is not the intended use of the Trail Plus. If you are thinking of park beautification, it cannot only be landscaping. We don't want to just fund beautification or landscaping only projects. But if you're going to do some shade trees planted in and around your exercise trail that runs around the perimeter of your city park, that's acceptable. We also do not fund infrastructure owned for or owned by for-profit entities. There is an exception to that if the for-profit entity creates a conservation easement and dedicates recreational access in perpetuity. So there's a little workaround there. But land owned by private individuals is hard for us to make a public investment in, again, unless we are assured that it is recreational access in perpetuity. Most of what we look for in our proposals, we're going to be talking about that in just a bit, but it includes anything from design and engineering, master planning, community outreach in order to get consensus on your design. All of that can be paid for by the Trail Plus grant. Of course, construction, the implementation of your plans, even the maintenance of projects is something. So if you've got a trail system that needs a real heavy maintenance cycle, you can certainly look at Trail Plus to provide that work for you. So what we look for in the evaluation of these proposals, obviously recreational value. We want to make sure that there is recreation associated with the project. Getting outdoors is obviously an outdoor recreation activity. So we do fund group shelters in community parks, but that will be evaluated and get a better score if that group shelter is connected to a walking jogging path around the perimeter of that park. We like to see the economic benefit of the projects. It doesn't have to be the driving factor, but recognize that the Outdoor Recreation Division is within economic development in New Mexico. So we do look at that. We want to make sure that your projects are environmentally responsible, that you're doing no harm. And, kind of if you're working with a federal land management partner, our grants can pay for the NEPA process. That is a requirement before you turn a shovel of dirt over on our public lands. We also really look at access. Talked a little bit about that with the Outdoor Equity Fund, and we target the recruitment or invitation to underrepresented population groups. Trails should not just be available to the affluent. We want to make sure that trails network throughout our communities, and that everyone has access to outdoor recreation, not just the folks wealthy enough to buy that parcel up against the Santa Fe National Forest. So trails connecting to where people live and work, creating that equitable access is certainly something that we look at strongly. All of these pages are in the grant guide on our website. And please, again, take the time to read through that. It's not super extensive, and we've packed a whole bunch of good information in there. And the last thing to think about when you are submitting your grant, please check the box. Yes, I want to receive email notifications. I know that it's, kind of the, some of us are hardwired to say, no, I don't want any more emails. You won't be able to see any communications from us in the submittable portal unless you check this box. So please take care to do that in your application. Another piece that I want to touch on specific to the application, please pay attention to your W-9. We spend an inordinate amount of time and energy correcting W-9s. We have a form on the application that we would like you to use. Even if you have another W-9, please use our form. Our administrative division appreciates that. And no electronic signatures on the W-9, please. Make it a wet signature. And to make sure that there's no question about that, use a big blue Sharpie. That's a great signature. So there's a good explanation on the application in submittable. Spend a little time making sure that your W-9 is filled out correctly. We have the instructions right there for you. Reporting requirements for the grant. We ask for a progress report at the halfway point. That's at 12 months. The Trail Plus grants are on a 24-month funding cycle. You will submit that through our portal, so through the submittable portal, your progress report, including a financial expenditure update. The final report is due upon completion of the project, which can happen before 24 months. So if you're done, let's get your final report out of the way and get that box checked. We also really appreciate social media shout out. Awarded grantees will receive a press packet from Michelle. That will help you to include us when you are talking about your project on social media, and that helps us secure more resources to help you. The other piece, a good hint, it's signing up for our monthly newsletter. I know a ton of folks on this call already receive our newsletter. If you don't, you can take a picture of that QR code. You can sign up on our website. You can email Michelle. She will get you signed up. It's pretty easy, and it's a really informative. Michelle puts a lot of time and energy into making sure that is a really valuable resource for folks. So go ahead and sign up for that. So that is the end of the presentation. So I am happy to take questions at this point.
All right, I'm pulling up the Q&A to see if there's anything in there. I didn't see anything in the chat.
Okay, I see a hand from Lauren.
Okay, I think we have to unmute Lauren. Are you able to do that?
Sure. How's that, Lauren? Huh.
Oh, well, things are populating in the chat, so let's go ahead and start there.
Okay.
I'll just read them off for you.
Great.
Are there priority regions or communities for this year's round?
Well, if you look at our map and you are from Union County, it would be great if we got an application from Union County. We don't have any projects way over there. So yeah, the answer is no. We try to provide a geographic uh, inclusion. I am spending a little time this summer over in the Eastern Plain state counties to make sure that they are aware of the project. But no, we don't have any targeted communities or project style for this round. We're looking to maintain the diversity geographically as well as rural, urban, and tribal applications.
Let's see. Will a monetary match be required?
Yeah, I must have skipped the talking point. Yeah, there is a match requirement for rural and tribal communities. That match is 2 to 1. That's two state dollars for one match dollar. For our urban areas, the Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Farmingtons of New Mexico, it's a 1 to 1 match. Um, so the idea is that your match is pretty flexible. It does not have to be cash. It could be donated supplies and materials. It could be volunteer sweat equity. It could be funding from another grant. All of those are eligible to be counted as your match. And let me just give a brief example. Um, the village puts in an application. They want to build some bathrooms in their park that's on a major trail system. And so they want to enhance that park and benefit the trail users by putting some public restrooms out. They have the money for the foundation, um, and they ask us for the money to buy the self-composting toilets. So that's an easy way to think about the match, and the value that that village comes up with can be one half the value of the grant that they're requesting. So that 2 to 1 match, two state dollars for one match dollar. The other way to kind of come up with that match is, oh well, there that trail needs a bunch of maintenance, and we've got this running group that's going to come out, and they're going to spend a couple of Saturdays putting down a bunch of base course that the village has in their public works yard. There's a value to that base course. There's a value to that volunteer hour. That volunteer hour is actually calculated on the federal volunteer rate, which is, I think, upwards of $38 an hour now. So you see, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. You don't actually have to have a thick checkbook in order to qualify for Trail Plus grants.
That answered a handful of questions that are in the
Woo!
chat. There's also in the grant guide some pretty thorough language about that and breakdowns. So definitely give that a flip through in the Q&A section that are frequently asked questions section. You'll find some more information there. Someone is asking, would a skate park connected to a trail be a possible project?
Heck yeah, we love skate parks. Um, yeah, we have funded both the design and the construction of multiple skate parks, pump tracks. Those are a great combo. Think about the population that you are attempting to entertain. Um, I know of several skate parks that are intimidating to littler kids. So think about having that entry zone. Think about it as the shallow end of the pool, and then have a diversity of activities and skill challenges that make that valuable, not just to the 13 to 16-year-old crowd, but give the 6 to 9-year-olds as well as the 40 to 45-year-old skate rats that are still wearing their Chuck Taylor signature tennis shoes to skate in.
Nice. Can you answer the question about quasi-governmental organizations?
Sure.
Somebody from North Central New Mexico Economic Development District is interested in being a lead applicant on a tier 1
Yep.
grant.
Yeah, if you have an EIN, an employer identification number, EIN, you are an eligible applicant. Quasi-government entities that have not gone through that step need to do that. That should answer your question. But yeah, COGS, Seiki associations, sometimes are nonprofits, but sometimes not, are eligible applicants. So think about that EIN. Are you a registered entity?
All right. Someone is running an online education project. Is that eligible?
No. Yeah, an online education project specific to youth might be funded out of the Outdoor Equity Fund. That would be considered youth engagement. Um, but the Trail Plus is really about infrastructure, targeted to make sure that we stay in front of the need, and that our connections to public lands are as top-notch and professional as we can get it.
Is there a best way to determine if a county is considered rural versus urban? I'm just going to copy and paste that definition from the grant guide
Yeah.
into
And
the chat.
and the only counties that would be considered urban would be Bernalillo, San Juan, Doña Ana, and Santa Fe. But that's really the cities within those counties. If you're 10 miles outside of that, then you would be rural. And also, where's the project? I mean, your nonprofit might be in Santa Fe, but if the project is out near Buckman, then that would be rural.
Thank you. All right. Can an organization that currently has an outdoor equity fund grant in year 2 of the 2-year cycle be considered for this round of Trails Plus?
Sure. We appreciate the complementary nature of Outdoor Equity and Trail Plus. So that tracks very well. If you have a current Trail Plus grant, you're also eligible to reapply in this next fiscal year on 2 conditions. You've got to have the organizational capacity to implement another grant, and you'll prove that in your application. And you need to have made substantial progress on your current award. So if your current award is sitting on the shelf, don't ask for more money. If you're, kind of moving along nicely, you're on schedule to complete your project, then yeah, we recognize and understand that multi-phase projects, in order to maintain momentum, putting in applications year after year is sometimes a necessity. So yeah, that is allowed.
Someone is asking about the permanency of the funding mechanism for Trails Plus grants.
Yeah.
After Governor Lujan Grisham's term ends, if a project design grant is funded this cycle, is it logical to expect that an application for implementation is likely?
Sure. Yeah, we've got no reason to question the longevity of these funding mechanisms. Both the special appropriation, which is an annual decision by the state legislature, and for sure the Land of Enchantment Legacy Fund, which is a permanent fund. So a couple of years ago, state legislature created the Land of Enchantment Legacy Fund, and then the next year they put $350 million into that account. The Trail Plus grant program is the beneficiary of some of the interest off of that permanent investment. So no reason to expect our programs to fade away. We enjoy pretty solid support from both sides of the aisle.
All right, we got someone asking if capital outlay funding can be used for the match.
Absolutely. Other state grants, federal grants, private foundation resources, and the capital outlay mechanism. There is some concern on the timing on that. Capital outlay now being administered by DFA should move along smartly. But that has been an issue in the past when a capital outlay fund was intended to be used as match, but then it was not processed as quickly as needed. That's caused some headaches. So just have that in the back of your mind. Be aware.
All right, somebody from Elephant Butte, Rachel, has asked, they have an existing share path. We would like to add existing amenities. Does our existing path maintenance provided by our city employees qualify as a match?
Sure. Yeah. So the effort to maintain a facility can leverage additional investments into that facility.
All right, someone says, following up on the match question, how far back can we go in including volunteer and donated materials as part of our match? We had several
Yeah.
volunteer days this year and last year. Can we count those?
We really like to look forward. Um, and we if that is an impossibility to generate additional volunteer hours, um, we are not as rigid as some federal grant programs. But the idea of match is that we're going to give you some resources and you're going to match that with your own energy. That is in the future tense. So going back over the years in order to document what has been done is not necessarily honoring the spirit of the intention of bringing additional resources to the table.
Solid answer. Can our collaborating partners be federal, state, municipal, and or county governments?
Heck yeah, we don't care who you hold hands with. Yeah, we've got a ton of projects that are benefiting federal land management agencies. They just can't be the applicant of record. We've got projects that are benefiting state parks, but the applicant was the friends group of that state park. So yes, your collaborations should include public land management agencies, as that's where a majority of us recreate.
All right, can someone add oh, that's already been answered.
Yeah.
What
I got
distance
one.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah, what distance qualifies or is considered as next to a trail? Can you see it? Yeah, and maybe I need a little more info on that, Scott. What distance qualifies or is considered as next to a trail? Yeah, give me some context on that if you want to call me for example, lighting already in place. Yeah, sure, if that's an amenity. Oh, that was Lauren. Ha. Bike park 3 blocks away. Because I know where you live. Yeah, we could talk about that.
Yeah, and you can build a bike park anywhere. It doesn't have to be connected to a trail. You can build a skate park somewhere.
Yeah, so I'm guessing Scott is attempting to use the maintenance effort on the Brickyard Bike Park in Gallup for the leverage and match for an additional trail. And if I guess right, I'm going to take myself out to dinner.
All right, is El Dorado considered rural or part of Santa Fe?
Are you 10 miles away from the legal limit of Santa Fe? That would be your deciding factor. It's not a judgment, it's a fact.
Let's see, can the land a project is built upon and existing infrastructure be part of the match?
Yeah, we really stay
Oh,
away
you already
from
answered
land valuation as a match. There are a couple of exceptions to that. So if land was acquired specific for a recreational activity or recreation facility, but yeah, you can see how complicated and squirrely that gets down the road. Try to identify other mechanisms in order to accumulate your match if you can.
All right, and somebody who recently installed solar lighting in preparation around the proposed trail area. Is that something that can help with the match?
Yeah, if it directly impacts the trail infrastructure, I could see that being a functional match, Adrian. Um, I would try not to use the lighting on the basketball court that has a, kind of that puts a shadow on the trail. So don't try to sneak one by us. And if it is legitimately um, lighting that directly impacts and improves the utilization of a trail, absolutely.
Sweet. I don't see any other questions. I looked in the Q&A and there's nothing there. So I think we are all set. Museum question. Go for it.
Oh, yeah. I think Mary
Museum
probably
question.
stated a museum question.
Oh, museum question. Question. Aha. Can outdoor equity projects, this is outdoor equity projects,
Oh,
include state-owned museum and visitor center facility improvements? Not for outdoor equity fund, that's for youth programs.
yeah. So if that was a mistake and you're talking about Trail Plus, yes, for sure. Just last week had a ribbon cutting at the Explora Center in Albuquerque. They put a trail around the perimeter of the Explora Museum that has these interactive installations that are hugely successful. We're also doing some work with the Santa Fe Children's Museum, Santa Fe Botanical Gardens. Yeah, so think about how that project would activate the exterior of the museum. Whether you're on Museum Hill and you want to connect into some of the trails in the arroyos in Santa Fe, et cetera. So yeah, there's definitely some work that we have done with museums.
And it looks like Keegan has their hand up. Let me see if I can just unmute them.
Yeah,
Unmute.
I'm sorry we can't unmute everybody. That's really weird.
It keeps
Disable
muting.
mic,
Hello,
allow
Mike.
mic.
Keegan, can you type your question in the chat? Strange, it will not let me unmute. I thought I
Yeah,
had the power.
you should have the power. So I got a question from Scott. Would building infrastructure for a bicycle ride and mech education center 3 blocks away from a bike park qualify or be considered? Well, we don't do buildings. So that kind of takes that idea off the table. And if it's like an outdoor education center, we could look at that. But I will, yeah, I had an application, very well written application, and it was going to be a trailhead. But on a little closer examination, turned out it was in the middle of the county fairgrounds, and it was actually a livestock building. So don't call it a trailhead unless it's a trailhead.
All right. Anybody else have questions?
So anyone who's ever gotten an email from me, you can use the line in my signature to make an appointment, book some time with me. You can also do that on our website. There's a QR code on the screen right now. I regularly sit down and help folks talk through their specific projects. If you've got questions above and beyond what you heard tonight, this presentation will also be available on the website. We'll send it to everyone on this call, but you can send other folks to our website if they're interested. Thank you very much. Look forward to reading your applications in October and November, and have a great week.
Not too fast. We got one more that slid right in.
Ah,
Would the renovation of a dilapidated clubhouse be considered as part of an infrastructure improvement?
that's so cool. The little rascals are on our call. That's awesome. Um, So yeah, we don't do buildings. But if that is, if you feel like you want to make a case, then yeah, set a time and let's talk that through. Dilapidated clubhouse is just an
They could
intriguing description, so I gotta learn more
turn
about
it
that.
turn it into a yurt, then we could fund it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, y'all. Thanks so much. We appreciate your attendance and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, folks.